Are we on already? I guess we are. Well, we normally finish the show at the end of 20 overs, but Zimbabwe were in a huge hurry. They somehow took it to the 20th over, but they were looking as if they just wanted to play about 15 or 16 overs. Just before the show started, I was looking out the window at the top of a 5-story building. There were some kids playing, and the way you do in gully cricket or rooftop cricket, you hit the ball, every ball you possibly can, up in the air, wherever you want. I think Zimbabwe took a leaf out of those kids' books, and they were just in a hurry to capitulate. They looked like they had periods where there were some great stroke play from Sean Williams and Sikandar Raza, but if only one of them had lasted, they could have had a competitive total on the board. Yes, the Dutch bowled well, but you'd have to say Zimbabwe threw a few of their wickets away. 117 all out in 19.2 here on Cricket Live. We'll try and get the experts to analyse if it was a bit of harakiri or if it was just some disciplined bowling from the Netherlands. Zahir Khan and Joy Bhattacharya alongside. I mean, they started really well, the Dutch, but you'd have to say the Zimbabwe looked in a hurry.
Yes, well, I mean, when you look at that game, you wonder what exactly is happening. You don't. For Zimbabwe, they didn't get off to a good start. After that, they recovered. Looked like they still can get to 150, but then it's just the short selection. I think you're just trying to hit every ball out of the park. It's never going to actually get you where you want to get. All they needed was little bit of sensible batting through that. Once you got out of the hole, after that you just needed to just apply yourself and get to a total which will give you a chance. But the wicket has not looked like a 117 wicket. Perth, yes, that day it looked like okay 130 is defendable and all that. Here it's not really looked like that. So you can just say that only Zimbabwean batsmen have to blame themselves to be in a situation like this.
And even Sikandar Raza, when you play an innings like that, you'd have to say, okay, well played. But well played in the context of somebody else at the other end having made a 50 or a 60 is fine. But he was the one who played a cameo, and his cameo was top score.
It's ridiculous. I mean, you're 20 for 3. Okay, now Sean Williams and Raza have come in. They are your two set solid batsmen who really got the record and all that. He's got off to a flying start. Okay, he's hitting Brandon Glover all over the place. And then I remember that single over, that tells you that entire Zimbabwe innings. He hits a 4, he hits a 6, and then the third ball he again hits in the air. Fortunately, it lands in no man's land. He gets a 2, but he just doesn't stop hitting. And you don't have too many batsmen there. You're 20, 40 odd for 3, and you're still taking those kind of risks. I can tell you one thing: all the Zimbabwe players will be quickly going and coming out to warm out as soon as possible. They're spending as little time with their coach Dave Houghton as possible because Dave Houghton would be throwing something at them. What are you doing? And what I do not understand is it's not just Sikandar Raza, it's Sean Williams, it's all the way down. I can understand the top 2 batsmen taking risks because somebody must have said, look, this is the kind of pitch where you should get 150, 160. I can understand that. But once you're 20 for 3, how can you play like that? And how can your players right down to number 9, how they, even right at the end, you still, look at that, Chatara still survived. Nagavara gave away his wicket after hitting a 6 for no reason at all. What was Blessing Muzarabani doing not playing out the innings? Get a single, get on the other side. You didn't even finish the innings, and it is just as a complete a brain fade as you can see our team as possible. They'll be really disappointed if this is the way they end their campaign.
Yeah, well, if somehow their bowlers get them out of this hole that they've dug themselves into, it'll be a different story. But let's focus on the Dutch bowlers. Yes, while you might have the batsman throwing it away, you still have to have the discipline. And I think early on, they set the tone. And that is something that you'd have to give them credit for. They utilize the surface. And I'll get Zahir Khan to try and assess because it was all about the quick bowlers there. Klaasen was moving the ball around. Look at his figures, 1 for 17. Van Meekeren looked like the wicket taker. He picked up 3, and then you had even the all-rounder in Bas de Leede coming into the attack. They didn't really need more than 1 over from good old Roloff.
Well, but look at that bowling card, and everyone have been a contributor to that success, which is very important. Meekeren, no doubt, has been the leader of that pack. When it comes to bowling, he led from the front, got the ball pitching up. That is something which is very important. He's an experienced campaigner. Bas de Leede has been given that specific role. He just bowls one up front sometimes, but otherwise his main role is to make sure that the back end of the innings is taken care, and he's been doing that consistently for them. Contributes with the bat as well. So overall, I think Netherlands will be very, very happy that that whatever we've been seeing from them, they've been very consistent, and that is where the disappointing part is when you're looking at the Zimbabwean lineup, that you've actually beaten Pakistan in this tournament. So you got to be consistent. So when you're looking at Netherlands, they've been consistent with their planning, how they're approaching the game. But with Zimbabwe, it's just been a very contrast approach, I would say. The batting has not been the strength, but you have to do that basic. You have to get the runs on board if you're batting first, and then look to make the match out of it. But Netherlands, whatever we've been seeing, the consistent bowling performance today again, we've seen that from them, and they'll be happy. They'll be happy that they're just chasing 117. Which is just run a ball, so it's in their comfort zone right now. So you would back Netherlands right now to make sure that they secure these 2 points.
Another figure that you'll have to give credit to the Dutch bowlers is 69 dot balls. On the one hand, of course, they were swinging at everything, but they were swinging at everything when they were actually getting to play the ball. So those 69 dot balls total is something that shows the discipline that Zahid just mentioned.
Absolutely, and I think that's what happened. I mean, I think Klaasen, if you see Klaasen and Mykeren, they bowled straight, and if you remember, we were talking about this before, your side boundaries are big. So what happened was, when they bowled straight, Klaasen went for about 9 in his last over, he went for 8 in his first 3, and I think that was what put the pressure on them. So whenever the ball was either slightly wide, or they had to try and manufacture the shot, which is how they got their first wicket. Madhavari was just trying to hit the ball because it was on the stumps. But that's the thing, that anything slightly wide of the stumps, they swung at it. And Sikandar Raza got away with it, for quite a long time, got the short ball away, and he would. But the moment it was anything, they were also giving away chances when the ball was outside the off stump, because they were swinging wildly at it, because they felt that they couldn't really hit anything which is on the stumps. That's why you had a lot of dot balls. Those dot balls created pressure, and then they started hitting shots that they shouldn't have tried. And it's as I said, there's some way they're going to look at it and say that, these Dutch bowled to a plan. But we never batted to a plan, we never reacted to their plan, we never adjusted. When bowlers are bowling a particular length, you adjust your length. So you say, I'm 20 for 3, I'm going to adjust it and say, my target is not 170, my target is 140, 145. Against a Dutch team, we have a decent bowling attack, we can defend it. I think that adjustment didn't happen.
And even towards the end, as we said, even if you're 7 down and you've lost Raza, you've lost Sean Williams, you can still hit it around to get to 135 maybe.
Exactly.
And have something to bowl at, not 117. Look at the innings progression towards the end.
Exactly. I think, what is interesting is that in this format, when you're just talking about 120 balls, so, and in these conditions, when you know that 140, 150 can be a winning total, 160 is a good total on any surface. So you are actually thinking that you have more time than you think, right? You just have to run a ball, and then you look at that those big shots, and which will take you to those 30, 40 extra runs, which is what the winning total we've been talking about on these surfaces. And when you look at that innings, it just, the whole mismatch, the 69 dot balls which you are talking about. So that means you've just pretty much scored off 50 deliveries, 117, which is a strike rate of 200. So I think from that point of view, Zimbabwe missed a trick. I think there was too much of a desperation, and not really, you are getting a feeling that they were not really thinking about what you're doing. You're moving away from the basics of cricket, and that is something which is disappointing when you've had a good World Cup. You don't want to finish in this fashion.
Exactly, like my big point was that. My point was that had they been playing India, for example, and you say that, look, to challenge India, I have to reach 170. So then you keep hitting. Yeah. You're playing the Netherlands. You say that, okay, I'm 20 for 3, let me adjust and make 140, I still have a chance. You may not, you will take risks against India because you feel that they're a better side. I'll have to be risky to beat them. Yeah. Do the same against the Netherlands. And that is something that, tactically I thought they got totally wrong.
Yeah, I think the figure might be 66 and not 69, but either way, it's more than half the innings, and I think that tells a bit of a story. And they did defend 130 in that infamous game against Pakistan. So I'm not sure they'll be telling themselves, okay, if Pakistan was 130, then Netherlands will not make 117. I think they would just realize, as you said, Dave Houghton would be saying, what did you guys do? And do they really have the attack to do it? I mean, the Dutch seem to. I wonder if Zimbabwe do. They've shown it. They're missing one player from that last game who bowled the final over, Brad Evans. But between Chatara, Muzrabani and Agarwa and the newcomer in this particular lineup in Luke Jongwe, I wonder if they can actually have the attack to do it.
See, the point is they have the attack, but they have not done their bowlers any favors, because what's going to happen is they now can, even if their power play was 20. Okay, if you look at their power play, they ended at 20. If they say that even if you get 25, 30 in the power play and don't lose any wickets, what is the run rate going to rise to? The run rate, if you go at 30, is going to rise to 6.5. That's nothing. 6.2, 6.3 you were chasing in the last 7. If you reach a run rate, so that's what, there is no place they can put pressure unless they take, lots of wickets up front. And if they do so, again, you can only blame the Dutch rather than look at it any other way.
But they've probably got enough, enough experience from playing other associate nations, from being in these tight situations, tight games, a team that has a lot of all-rounders, so you've got some kind of batting depth. So they'll know that they just have to have a calm approach, and when you're chasing less than a run a ball, you can afford that calm approach.
Yes, you can, but also you don't want to play the score. You still got to just go out there and play cricket. Play on the merit of the ball. So that is something which is very important. So for Netherlands, it's important that they shouldn't look at the score saying that okay, it just run a ball, so that means you can take the power play easy. No, if the ball is there to hit, you hit the ball. I think that is something which is going to be very important as an approach. For Zimbabwe, it's not about the result. Even if they go on to win the match, you still have not really done justice to how you're approaching the game. Your bowling team is not going to always bail you out of situations, and that has been Zimbabwe's story. If you look at those two names, Sikandar Raza, Sean Williams, middle order coming into play, you need the pattern to develop if you have to compete. So that is something which is missing. So it's not about the result now. If you win the game, everything is just swept under the carpet and you move on. It doesn't work like that. If you want to compete, if you want to move ahead from here, raise that bar higher, you need to tick all the boxes. And I think batting for Zimbabwe has been a letdown.
Well, the situation of the game is that the ship was sailing nicely, but unfortunately the batsmen made sure that they were out of the ship into a lifeboat, and now it's the bowlers who are going to be rowing the lifeboat towards the shore. Will they make it? Only the bowlers can tell the story, or maybe the Dutch batsmen will capitulate. Lots to talk about in the next 20 overs. We'll be back in the 10th over with Crickbuzz Combox. Just a quick comment. At the lower end of the Vibgyor spectrum is orange and red. It's orange versus red. Are we all leaning orange?
I think at this point we're leaning orange, definitely.
Yep, unanimous. Orange is all it is. They've started with a boundary, and as I said, we'll assess it in the 10th over to see if they've got the run chase in the right direction. That's all on Crickbuzz Live.